Hey YouTube family, it's Sarah and it's Sunday and I'm coming at you with my second video in 2 weeks, so keep your fingers crossed that I remember how to do this. This week I wanted to talk about something that probably isn't something that everyone in the community can relate to. Well, not probably actually, it's probably something that not a lot of people in the community can relate to, but as I explained in my video last week, one of the things that's important to me at this point and at this stage in my journey and in sharing my story is really sharing the part of my journey that's different from, I guess, the majority maybe of WLS patients, and that is the part of being super morbidly obese and coming from that point versus someone who may only be 100 pounds overweight who has weight loss surgery. As I said, I think it's a wonderful thing that we have all kinds of people in the community, everyone from lightweights to those of us who had a lot further to go. And I would never want to take anything away from anyone documenting their journey. I think it's important in the community that we have the most points of view that we can. And I know there are people who say that as lightweights, they didn't want to make videos because they felt like people would judge them. And I'm here to say and to encourage everyone, share your story. There is someone out there who is in your situation and you will help them. But I can only talk about what I know, and that is coming from a very high weight. So my highest weight was 460 pounds, and I lost, I lost to my goal weight, 250 pounds. At one point I had lost almost 260. And now, obviously, as I talked about, I've had a little bit of regain as well. But that is, I guess, not the average weight loss surgery patient story, but I think that what's interesting is that for a lot of people who have weight loss surgery, they were maybe not overweight their whole lives, and they maybe weren't super morbidly obese, and they maybe only have, I shouldn't say only, but they have 80, 100, 120 pounds to lose, and that is seriously an accomplishment. So again, it's not to take anything away from people who are in that situation. But I think the difference is that with a lot of those people, they came from a place of understanding what it was like to be a thin or an average person. And also they are going back to a place where they are thin or average. I never felt like that was what was going to happen to me. I sort of felt like I would be lucky to get down to just kind of fat instead of, like, as I used to say, circus freak show fat. And that's just my description of it. Again, that's just how I saw it in myself. I think I've shared before that I had said I would have been happy if I just got down to 250. 250 was kind of my, like, goal before my goal. That was my ultra realistic, like, I thought if I could get down to 250, I was doing good. And obviously I did, surpass that. But there was a time when I felt like maybe I could get under 200 pounds. Again, I'm 5'10" and a half. I have a large frame, so that still seems like an insanely big number for a woman. It's not. I'm a size 14 still, pretty much. Maybe a 16 in certain, like, regular stores, definitely like a plus 14, and in some places a 14 is even too big. So, yeah, sizing being what it is, let's just say a 14 at that weight. So at about 230 pounds right now. So the thing is that I never had weight loss surgery expecting to be thin or even expecting to be average. Now, technically, I am kind of average. I'm pretty much, 14 is about the average size, certainly in the US, but I would say probably even just in North America in general, 14 is probably a pretty average size. But I never had any illusions that I was going to have weight loss surgery and be skinny. And certainly a lot of the people that I know who have had weight loss surgery are downright skinny, small, below average. And I think that's great and awesome. But I kind of knew that was not going to be my experience. I do not have the body type to be small. I don't have the body type to be thin. It's just not who I am. And that was something that I had to deal with from the very beginning of my journey. It's not really something that I've struggled with. I think because that's been my reality my whole life, even my idea of what the kind of body I would want to have is still big and curvy. And in fact, I had on my Pinterest account, I had a curvy girl inspiration board. And I realized at one point that I actually probably was smaller than a lot of the women that I had pinned, which is kind of odd. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem feeling that I can be sexy at a size 14 or, 200 pounds plus. I don't feel like I'm not attractive because of my size or any of those things. But I do think there's something to be said for the idea of the kind of, pardon my French, but mindfuck it is to have weight loss surgery and to lose 250 pounds and to still be fat in other people's eyes. I'm still fat. I'm just going to say it. I'm still fat. I don't even look average, I don't think. And I know that people will say that is just my insecurity talking, or that's Fat Sarah talking. It's not Fat Sarah talking. There's no one who would see me and say that I am an average size. I'm not. I'm not an average height. I don't have an average body build, and I'm not an average weight. That's okay with me. But it is a little weird because, especially talking to people and saying that I've had weight loss surgery, a lot of them give me kind of a side eye, like, when did you have this weight loss surgery? 2 years ago. What happened? Because people expect that you have weight loss surgery and then you're skinny. That's not the case for me. So again, it's not so much from my point of view that I found it weird to deal with having weight loss surgery and still being fat, but I think from other people's point of view, they find it strange and kind of difficult to deal with. And I've certainly had people be sort of unsure as how to respond when I tell them. And again, I'm not the kind of person who goes out there and just like advertises it to everyone. I'm very open about it if it comes up in conversation, but I don't say, hi, nice to meet you, I'm Sarah. I used to weigh 460 pounds. And partially I think that's because no matter what, people are still judging. Even if I say, I used to weigh 460 pounds, in their mind all they hear is, oh my God, she weighed 460 pounds. Like, what was wrong with her? I definitely still feel like I get judged sometimes when people hear my story. Certainly they're impressed that I lost so much weight, but you can tell that there's a part of them that wonders what's wrong with me that I could, get up to 460. So I don't know. I mean, I have never talked, I'll say openly, I've never talked to anyone else in the community who's in that situation, who feels like, oh my God, I had weight loss surgery, I'm still fat. But I don't think that I'm the only one. I certainly think there's probably other people out there that still feel the same way. And legitimately, not because of body dysmorphia or anything like that, but legitimately still are fat. And I don't love that word either. But I'm still overweight. I'm still above average. My BMI is still in the overweight category. It will never really be under that. I have pretty much come to terms with the fact that the way my body works, the only way that I would ever be able to get under or maintain under 200 pounds is really just to not eat. I would have to pretty much starve myself, and I would have to work out a lot more than I have time to do. And I'm just not willing to do that. And I'm going to make a whole other video about that and about being happy where you are and all that stuff. But this week I just kind of wanted to talk about this because it was something that had come up a few different times this week for me. Just thinking about, I had done some clothes shopping and I ordered some things online, and I'm ordering the size that I am, but some things, were too tight, some things were too big, some things just fit oddly because my body is not proportionate because of all the excess skin and all of that stuff. The excess skin is another thing that contributes to the fact that I look heavier. I look fatter because I still have so much skin, especially around my stomach, and especially the top part of my stomach, which kind of sometimes makes me look pregnant, which is not cool. I haven't had anyone ask, but I'm waiting for it because that's something where I automatically gain. If I gain weight, I gain weight there, and I never really lost weight there. So it's been on my mind because there's a small part of me that maybe is a little, I don't know what the word is, not bitter, but just kind of like, really? I did all that and this is what I get. I do still want to have plastics, but just because of circumstances in my life right now, that is not an option at the moment. It's not an option financially. It's not an option as far as being able to take the time off of work to be able to do it. So I think, again, it's probably at least a year to 2 or 3 years away. I know that I would be a lot happier if I could have my arms done because that is still a big deal to me, and a lower body lift. My arms are probably the thing I hate the most because it prevents me from wearing any kind of sleeveless or even short sleeve cap sleeve top. I constantly have to wear something over everything. And there would be people who would say, you know, that's just something that you have to get over, and, you know, who cares what other people think? But it is really unattractive, I'll be honest. It's really unattractive. I don't want to have to look at it, and I don't really feel like other people would want to have to look at it either. And I think it makes me look, again, sort of unproportionate, and because my upper arms are a lot bigger than they really should be because of all this excess skin. So all those things together do make it really challenging sometimes to be on this side of the journey, to be 2 years out and to have reached a goal and know that, you know, even though you're okay with it, in other people's eyes, maybe you aren't as successful because you never got skinny. And I know I struggled even at my lowest weight with the way I looked. I didn't like the way my face looked. I felt like I, you know, had that sort of like sunken look. The skin on my face was like literally like hanging. I, especially like from the neck up, was not actually happy with myself at that weight either. Which is why I know that the weight for me is not the issue, but it's the distribution and the excess skin that's causing me to have problems. But it is interesting from an outside point of view to know that after a weight loss of 250 pounds, you still feel like you are on the fat end of the spectrum. Like, I think the average person who sees me doesn't go, oh my God, she's huge. But they certainly wouldn't describe me as being average. And I don't know, it's a very complicated thing, I think. It's even, I'm having a hard time even explaining it because, you know, I always say I'm not really the kind of person who cares that much what other people think. But again, I think it makes people who know uncomfortable, and it's kind of, sometimes I feel like my weight loss is kind of my dirty little secret. Like, I realize now that people who know me now have no idea what I used to look like, no idea what I weighed before. They aren't impressed because they don't know. And again, I don't share if it's not something that comes up in general conversation. So all of the people I work with, none of them have any idea that I've had weight loss surgery. And to be honest, the way that it normally comes up now is if someone asks me how Chris and I met, because I'm usually very forthcoming. So if I have time, I will say, you know, we both had weight loss surgery and we basically met online in the weight loss surgery community. If I don't have time, I'll just say we met online. I don't know which one has a better connotation, but whatever. I just, yeah, like I forget that people don't know, and I feel like it's my big secret that, you know, I lost all this weight and that I look different and am different than I used to be. So I guess I really would love to hear from those of us who are kind of in that same situation. You know, if you were super morbidly obese and you don't even have to be at the end of your journey, but you've lost weight and, you know, you feel like you're not going to end up being small or skinny or average or what people expect from someone who's had weight loss surgery. How does that color your sense of self and your self-esteem and how you feel about your journey? Or does it? Do you not care at all? I'm not sure why it's something that is on my mind, but it always has been. Even though I don't think I had unrealistic expectations, I think there are times when it does kind of weigh on me that, you know, I'm never going to be that easy, you know, size 10 where I can go into any store and buy anything, or I'm always going to have problems with the shape of my body because I may realistically never have plastics. I don't know. So that's what I wanted to talk about this week. I just kind of wanted to put it out there for those of us who started at a high weight, and kind of ask the question, you know, how does it make you feel knowing that having had weight loss surgery and lost probably, you know, 100, 200, 300 pounds, that you still, to other people, are fat. So that's this week. I'll catch you next week. And always remember, it's not just about what you've lost, it's about what you've gained.